Well, it's been quite the drive. Lots of traffic, and instead of complaining about it, I will say thank you, universe, because all this traffic is allowing me to bake up lots and lots of bread. Today's loaf comes to us from another new arrival, at least new to this channel, someone I haven't quoted before, Oscar Wilde. And he says, "Disobedience, in the eyes of anyone who has read history, is humanity's original virtue. It is through disobedience that progress has been made, through disobedience and through rebellion." Now, I absolutely love this quote, and I think it's the perfect way to end a week where everything that I have talked to you about has related to insanity, nonconformity, and the perils and pitfalls of civilization. And now I'm telling you that disobedience is not only a virtue, but perhaps the highest virtue of all. Disobedience has been with us since the beginning. And in fact, we can look at it metaphorically and say that culture and language and the development of higher human consciousness is in itself an act of rebellion. All other living creatures that we know of live happily in nature. They take what is provided by nature, they don't complain, and they are completely at one with the way things are. Now, humans, on the other hand, we're never quite satisfied. We're always looking for answers. We're always looking for tricks. We're always looking for ways to change what is. Which is why you get skyscrapers and airplanes and excavators and the internet and all the other things that humans have invented over the thousands and thousands of years that we have existed. Nature said, "Here's what you get." And we said, "Nuh-uh, it's not good enough." That was the original act of rebellion, in my opinion. Disobedience and rebellion are cornerstones or fundamental aspects of the human animal. Now, this came up the other day with my wife because we were talking about our kids and she was venting a little bit about some of the issues that we have with them. Namely, the fact that they don't fucking listen. I've mentioned this before. We ask them to do something, we explain to them why we want them to do it, we explain to them why it's the best thing for everybody involved, and then they turn around and they do the opposite. And while I get irritated by this, as most parents do, I find that it doesn't irritate me nearly as much as it irritates my wife. And I think it's because I view disobedience as a virtue. Because when someone tells me I have to do this, you know what I hear? I hear a challenge. And you know what I say? I say, "Challenge accepted, motherfucker." Nobody tells me what to do, except for me. So I understand and I value the ability to rebel and to be disobedient. And so when my kids do it constantly, a part of me takes joy in that. And a part of me is proud of them. Because, like I was telling my wife the other day, we're raising our children to be non-conformists. We are raising our children in a way that promotes questioning authority, questioning everything, and being curious. And we promote an approach to living which is centered on the self. That is to say, it is self-reliant. It's not dependent on external supports. We're always telling our kids things that promote these values, and then when they are disobedient, when they're stubborn, when they refuse to listen, we get frustrated. And we wonder why they won't listen. Well, I don't necessarily, my wife wonders. And so I want to read this quote to her because I think it's a perfect sort of expression of what I feel in my heart, which is that disobedience and rebellion, they are the first virtues of humankind. Not only are they the first virtues, all progress and all great inventions and revelations and discoveries have come thanks to that instinct to disobey and to rebel and to stand on your own 2 feet. So there you have it, folks. After a whole week of this, I think it's a good way to end it off. And I hope you got something out of this little theme of mine, the theme of madness and rebellion. I hope that you will learn to observe culture, in your life and in your mind, and see how it affects you, and how so much of what you think you believe was actually planted there very early on in your life by this system of language and culture and civilization that we just take for granted. It's like the story of the two young fish who are swimming to school, and on their way there, they cross paths with an old wise fish. And the old fish says, "What's up, kids? How's the water today?" And the two young fish keep swimming. And then about 10 minutes later, one of the young fish looks at his friend and says, "What's water?" Well, that's what civilization, culture, and language is to us today, my friends. It's like water. It is so ever-present, so intrinsic, so woven into the fabric of everything that we do that we don't see it. We don't notice it because it's like water to fish. And so people who are mad, people who are insane, people who have that spark, they are able to leave the water. And when they come back, what they tell us is sometimes jarring and sometimes confusing. But there is indeed comfort and safety and wisdom in madness. So don't forget it. And the other thing you shouldn't forget, of course, is to live well, because what good is anything else if you're miserable, right?